Hello and good morning. Welcome to the Hour Show. I'm Awa. Today my guest is Marjorie Waterman. Good morning, Margie.
Good morning. How are you?
Margie is writing right now a book. Tell us a little bit more about your background.
For the past 15 years, I've been a teacher in a Dade County jail, and I have written a book about my experiences. I'm in the process of writing a book. It's not finished yet, because I came to realize that inmates are people, and they're just a microcosm of our society at large. And our system is broken. It isn't working. It's, instead of doing any kind of rehabilitation, we're creating more serious criminals who are angrier because they're mistreated when they get out. They go out and react. I had really good experiences in the jail. I found extreme ability, intelligence, creativity. People were just blossoming in the classroom. My purpose was to assist them to get a GED, high school diploma.
Yes.
But in addition to that, I found poets and writers and artists and all kinds of wonderful creativity, and also a real hunger for understanding and the desire to change their lives in a positive way.
How amazing. I mean, I totally agree with you. So your book is about the inmates in jail.
Primarily, and it's also about how broken the system is and what's wrong with it and why it's not working and what we might be able to, some of the possible solutions.
And funny enough, last night, just because maybe I know you were coming today, I watched for the first time the series on TV of jail. Never watched it before.
Reality TV.
That's a reality TV show, Jail, and it's happening, I mean, direct to the prison, I mean, to the jail, because there is a difference between jail and prison.
Right.
That we were talking about.
Jail is 364 days or less if you're sentenced, or it can be up to 10 years if you're waiting to go to trial, which is an atrocity.
That is.
But prison and jails are run by the county. Prisons are run by either the state or the federal government, and they're for people who are sentenced to 365 days or longer. That's the basic difference.
Yes. So something happened while I was watching that TV show. I could lay down in my bed and just feel and watch my feelings rise. And they were not feelings that I wasn't aware of. I knew they exist, but they rise just watching the violence.
Right, makes you angry.
The violence from the policemen, how they were treating them in jail. And me having those feelings in bed, not doing anything bad, just showed me that it's more of an instinct. I reacted instantly to just that violence. So my question is, those people living that violence every day in jail, can anybody think they could be better outside of jail?
I don't see how anybody could think that, but unfortunately a lot of people do think that, and it's not really true. There are really two types of criminals that should never get out of jail, and those are the serial sexual offenders and the sociopaths. Sociopaths have no conscience, and they're never going to have one.
They're
we don't
sick.
know how to fix it. The same is true with the sexual offenders, the serious sexual offenders. We don't know how to fix it.
Yes.
Those people need to either stay in jail or be monitored indefinitely. And I just heard today, actually, on NPR radio that they're considering a program like that to monitor sexual offenders indefinitely when they get out. But the people most of the people in jail are eventually going to get out.
Yes.
And they're going to get out much angrier and much more well-trained in how to be a good criminal, because they learn from other inmates while they're there.
Incredible.
The corrections officers are a lot of times part of the problem. There are some that are caring and concerned and try to help the inmates, but a lot of the officers are also bullies and mean and control freaks, and this job allows them the opportunity to be abusive.
Yes.
And of course, the inmates can't really act back very well because they're going to be punished more if they do. So that anger gets stored up.
Yes.
And the frustration. And they find a lot of ways around the system. You know, they come up with all kinds of cons in jail. They do bartering. They have no money, so everything is bartered.
Wow.
And they trade goods and services.
Yes.
You know, I'll order from the commissary for you because you don't have any money, but you'll do my haircuts, or you'll write my letters, or
so they really get out of there.
There's a whole subculture that exists in the jail, and if that were utilized in a positive way, it could be a really good opportunity for rehabilitation. But unfortunately, it's not. With all the budget cuts, they've gotten rid of all the counselors, and they've eliminated a lot of the services. They also don't allow contact visits anymore. Contact visit is like you and I are doing right now. We can sit with each other face to face and talk. Behind the glass visit means you can't touch or talk, or I mean you can talk, but you can't touch. Or actually be together.
Yes.
And that's a very difficult thing to isolate a human being like that for a long period of time.
That's right.
Especially if it's a mother and her children, or a husband and wife. It literally destroys families.
Yes.
And destroys relationships.
Totally.
And jail destroys people's lives, because if you're without a paycheck for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, or even if you're lucky and have some reserve several months, you lose everything. And so you have to come out and basically start all over again, and where are you going to start except back on the street?
Back on the street. And now you know how to be living
and
on
now
the street.
You're better at it, right.
You're better at it. I mean, what do you think the solution is?
I think the solution is to redesign the whole system, basically. It costs $30,000 a person a year to keep a person in jail. For that kind of money,
that's a lot of money.
We should be able to come up with a much better plan, right?
That's right.
And it's all a waste. It's a game. There are a lot of programs in the community already. There's Job Corps, which would be a great program for young people between the ages of 16 and 26. There are mental health programs for people that have a lot of people get arrested just because they're mental.
Yes.
And they act out and they're not taking their medication, and so they end up in jail. We used to have mental health programs. We don't have those anymore. We used to have drug rehab programs that were residential.
Yes.
Now they're so expensive, and the medical costs are so expensive that unless you're wealthy, you can't afford a program like that. So, but we can afford $30,000 a year for jail.
That's right.
So it really doesn't make any sense. Education is a key, because the more education and training people have, the more likely they are to be able to get a legitimate job.
Yes.
Of course, right now with the way the economy is, that's another whole problem.
I mean, and you said education. Of course, you don't wait until problem starts to educate.
Well, no, and a lot of the inmates are school dropouts, but a lot of them are not. People think everybody in jail is from the street, and that's not true.
No.
The worst crime in our community is white-collar crime. It's the most insidious and insipid type of crime there is. People like Bernie Madoff, people like this Rothstein case that just came out recently, Enron, all these big corporations.
Yes.
That's going to really destroy our society, those kinds of crimes. And
but those kind of people know how to do it.
Right, they know how to
They're
play
not
the
the one
game,
that
they
is,
have attorneys.
That's right.
And they don't come to light until all hell breaks loose, until something horrible happens, and then finally it comes to light, and they might or might not get arrested. A lot of the people from the banking scandals didn't get arrested at all. The mortgage brokers got arrested.
Wow.
So, and the banks really were the cause of the economy being destroyed.
That's
so,
right. At some point.
All this white-collar crime is going on, internet crime, there's all kinds of identity theft, con artists, and we're virtually ignoring it.
Yes.
And the street crime, because it's in your face and you see it, and those are the bad guys, they end up in jail and serving the long sentences, and they can't afford attorneys, and they don't have the money for...
We'll talk more about that. Just stay tuned with more of Marjorie.